So myself, I am Dr. Paresh Mohanty. I am the consultant microbiologist in the NTTV Center in SCV Medical College. And last year, I was also working as a consultant microbiologist for the COVID diagnosis in molecular lab, the Department of Biochemistry, along with Dr. Roma Ratan, who is the Associate Professor, Department of Biochemistry. And last 1 year already we have worked, and recently also we are going through this COVID pandemic situations, and also we are engaged in our laboratory diagnosis. So today I will present the laboratory diagnosis presently, which the facilities which are available and commonly practiced as per the guideline of ICMR in the state of Orissa and in the medical college, which we are doing day to day. So coming to the introduction, coronavirus disease 2019 is an infection caused by the novel coronavirus, severe acute respiratory coronavirus 2, that is SARS-CoV-2. The infection manifests as a mild flu to severe acute respiratory infection. The World Health Organization declared COVID-19 as a global pandemic on March 11, 2020. The disease spreads by droplet infection from person to person. This is airborne disease. The decision for diagnosis of an individual should be based on epidemiological and clinical factors which link to an assessment of the probability of infection. So this is the electron picture of SARS-CoV-2 virus. Is an enveloped virus with single-stranded RNA genome. This is the there are 4 coronavirus genera, all of you know. That is alpha coronavirus, that is for the mammals, and beta coronavirus, gamma coronavirus, and delta coronavirus. So under this beta coronavirus, so SARS-CoV-2 come under the beta coronavirus. So in this, all the pathogenic your viral infections and the strains are present in the beta coronavirus in genera. That is your HKU1, SARS-CoV, that is MERS-CoV, and SARS-CoV-2. Also, the bats are the natural reservoir for the SARS-CoV-2, and pangolins and turtles as intermediate host. It is probable, it is a questionable, but still then it is not established. So this is the endemic, this is the epidemiological and the disease manifestation of CoV-2, that is your morbidity and mortality, where you can see India is now the highest load of your morbidity as well as the mortality rate. So coming to our topic, that for a diagnosis, so all of you know that first it is very important prerogative that we must collect the sample properly and it should be packaged properly before you submit to the reference lab. So you see in the figures it is already given, there is a viral transport media, there is a VTM, and this is the swab sample, how it is collected, and the right extreme is your triple packaging system. It is the guideline by WHO. Adequate standard operating procedure should be followed before collecting any specimen. Collected specimens should be regarded as potentially infectious, and therefore extreme precautions should be taken during the handling of the samples. The diagnosis of clinical specimens collected from the suspected individuals should be executed in appropriately equipped laboratories by the staff specifically trained in technical and biosafety measures. This is very important because staff should be very much aware, and they must be skilled, and they must be knowing about the danger of this infection and the severity of the disease once they are not protected properly. Next is your national guidelines on laboratory biosafety should be strictly followed, and all the procedures should be undertaken based on a risk assessment. And specimens for molecular diagnostics require a BSL-2 or equivalent facilities, whereas any attempt to culture the virus requires a BSL-3 facilities at minimum. So BSL-3 is your negative pressure, completely is a highly equipped lab, and for a molecular diagnostic, BSL-2 is required. At least respiratory materials should be collected for the diagnosis of COVID-19 from suspected individuals. Upper respiratory tract specimens like nasopharyngeal and oropharyngeal swab are worse in ambulatory patients, including lower respiratory specimens such as sputum if generated, and or your bronchoalveolar lavage, that is BAL, or endotracheal aspirate in patients with the more severe respiratory diseases. Other clinical samples may also be collected, as SARS-CoV-2 has also been found in blood and stool, similar to SARS and your MERS. In addition, paired sera should be collected during acute and convalescent phase for retrospective study using serological assays when it is available. Sample collection details as given in the table below. So here you can see the entire all the samples So specimen type, collection materials, transport to laboratory, and storage temperature till testings, and the comments are there, remarks. So coming to the first, you see in the nasopharyngeal and the oropharyngeal swab, you have to use a Dacron or a polyester flocked swabs, and they transported to laboratory under 4 degrees centigrade. That is your cold chain transportation is very essential. And storage temperature is still testing. Less than 5 days, it should be 4 degree. That is your normally you can refrigerate on the door. And if it is more than 5 days, it's better. It should be minus 70 degrees centigrade. So this is to increase viral load. Both, if you can to want to increase the viral load, both nasopharyngeal and the oropharyngeal swabs should be placed in the same tube. Coming to the next, the BAL, the lower respiratory tract sample is the BAL. That is it should be collected in the sterile container, and it should be transported to the lab in 4 degrees same cold chain systems. If it is less than 48 hours, if you want to store the samples, it can be stored in 4 degrees Celsius. And if it is more than 2 days, then it should be minus 70 degree. And some dilution of pathogen may be there, but important specimen in patient with the serious infection. This is very important because suppose you are missing the samples like from nasopharyngeal, oropharyngeal, if you are going for RT-PCR and you are not getting, but the patient is a serious condition. If it is possible, if you can go for a bronchoscopy, so if you can call it BAL, so that this is the best sample to yield the virus. Coming to the third is a tracheal aspirate or nasopharyngeal aspirate or a nasal was the same sterile container with the same temperature, your transportations, and it's the same guideline for your storage. And sputum can also be, it can be collected if the patient is having expectoration, so we can collect the sputum, but normally is this type of viral pneumonia is a dry type of pneumonia, so hardly we get a sputum, but if a sputum is available, then you can go for a sterile container. And transportation same your 4 degree, and if it is less than 2 days, that is 4 degree centigrade can be stored, and if more than 2 days, it is 70 degree. Tissue from biopsy or autopsy, including from lungs, that is your sterile container with a saline or a VTM. And you can see the transportation same 4 degree for all, and if it is less than a day, that is 4 degree can store, and more than 1 day, that can be minus 70 degree. This is so important for the postmortem diagnosis. And coming to the serum, that is your acute and convalescent samples, serum separator tubes, it also you can collect 3 to 5 ml whole blood. It can be transported in 4 degrees Celsius, and less than 5 days, you can kept for 4 degree, and more than 5 days minus 70. Paired samples to be collected, acute, that is condition is during the period, first week of the illness, and the chronic is 2 to 3 weeks later, that is a convalescent. And if you can also go for a whole blood, that is a 5 ml, that blood in the EDTA vial, and it should be transported to 4 degrees centigrade. If less than 5 days, store 4 degree, and if more than 5 days, it is minus 70. Stool sample also is a very good sample. It is a better than nasopharyngeal and all this, and it can be collected in the stool container, and transported should be within 4 degrees Celsius. If it is less than 5 days, that has to be stored 4, and also more than 5 days, minus 70. Urine collection can be done, that is in urine collection container, and the same your transportation temperature that cold chain is has to maintain, and less than 5 days 4 degrees centigrade, and more than 5 days it can be stored in minus 70. Coming to sample packaging and transport, this is very important. After the collection, specimen should be transported to the laboratory as soon as possible for the diagnosis of COVID-19. Specimen transportation should be performed and shipped under the cold chain maintenance of 2 to 8 degrees Celsius in VTM. In case of delay in transportation, samples should be kept in minus 20 degrees centigrade or ideally in minus 70 degrees centigrade and shipped in dry IC. Further delay is expected. After sample collection and packaging, the well-packed specimen, that is triple packaging, which is a mandate, is shipped at the earliest to the testing center. So this is a triple packaging systems. You see, the first your containment is the tube itself. Then there is a observable cotton that is wrapped along with the tube, and the third is that you see that is your thermocool packaging with aesthetically it should be sealed off, and this is to avoid any seepage or if there is a breakage during the transportation, it will be contained into this. It will never spill away or in the atmosphere, which can contaminate or it can infect the surrounding. So what are the type of diagnostics are available in our country or in the state? So number one, the RAT, that is all of you know, that is rapid antigen test. Now coming to the next is RT-PCR in different platforms. So this RT-PCR, all of you are very familiar with that. So number one is the NAT, that is a nucleic acid amplification test. Number two is the TrueNAT, and third is your CVNAT, the cartridge-based nucleic acid amplification test. So these are your common type of diagnostics are available in the country, in the state, and also in the some of the district headquarters also we have some of your equipments like CVNAT and TrueNAT, and also RT-PCR. So other tests also is available in some tertiary care hospitals where it can be screened like serological test. So IgM, IgG or IgG spike protein, and the last is your viral culture. So this viral culture only is available in the nodal centers or in medical colleges where the VRDL lab, they have the facilities, or in the national institutes where it is commonly done. And the last is your genomic viral sequencing. This is most advanced, and this is not generally it is practiced, but we can sequence the entire viral genome to mark any mutations or other any changes in the genomic structures. And last is a self-detection kit, which recently it is available across the country, and Government of India, Department of Health and Family Welfare has already acknowledged this one. That is a COVID self, which can be done at your home. It's just like your rapid antigen test. So coming to rapid antigen test, little elaborately we can analyze. The first is a rapid results it can provide you. Relatively it is very cheap. It reduces the burden of relying on RT-PCR. Because all of you know, so first when the patient have a SARI or ILI or any exposure history to any infected patient already who is under treatment. So in that we first prefer the antigen test because we want to detect the presence of any protein, viral proteins. So which can give you the first impression. And if your antigen test comes positive, so there is no need of going for RT-PCR. So that is reduces remarkably the load on RT-PCR. And of course, it is a less sensitive because here we are not amplifying the variance. So we are just at present in the sample, what is the amount of your proteins are present, that can also detect. Antigen tests seek out specific proteins only found in the virus, which the body's immune response recognizes as foreign. Most COVID-19 antigen tests target the spike protein that starts the surface of the coronavirus. A swab from the nose is collected for this test where there is a high likelihood of virus particles being present. The swab is then dipped in a solution that inactivates the virus and then transferred onto a test strip. The test strip houses antibodies that bind to coronavirus proteins and hold them in place as the fluid spreads. If the sample is positive for coronavirus, colored lines will show off the paper strip in 15 to 20 minutes. You can read very fast within 15 to 20 minutes. You can see the bands if are coming, the test bands positive along in the control band, then we can say it is a positive for that patient. So this is the algorithm. So rapid antigen test, if it's positive, to be reported as a true positive. So there is no questions of again going to repeat RT-PCR. And if it is a negative, then you can see that if it is symptomatic with a fever, cough and sore throat, we can send sample to retesting by the RT-PCR. And is absolutely asymptomatic and right has come negative, you can declare as negative. So coming to this is most important and commonly practiced, and everybody are very familiar with the result of this RT-qPCR. That is your reverse transcriptions quantitative real-time PCR. This is most modern gadget which can give you assure the presence of the virus. The gold standard diagnostic test for SARS-CoV-2 infection is the presence of viral RNA detection by the reverse transcription quantitative real-time polymerase chain. RT-qPCR shows a better performance than serology because it can identify positive cases in the early stage of infection, even during the incubation period of the disease and after symptoms have disappeared. So we can also detect, you can get your viral RNA when we are not getting the antigens or your antibodies IgM. At that time also you can see the presence of this viral RNA. And also when the patient in the convalescent stage or there is a longer duration of your suffering, also you can monitor that what is the CT value or what is the presence of your viral RNA. Molecular targets for SARS-CoV-2 RT-qPCR includes genes that encodes the nucleocapsid, that is N, envelope, Z, spike S, and open reading frame 1AB, and RNA dependent RNA polymerase proteins given their high degree of genetic conservation. So these are very reserved sites where you cannot, even if there are different strains, these are all the reserved conserved zones. So where you can get it. Most assays use two targets in the viral genome. Many molecular assay kits have been available for the detection and amplification of SARS-CoV-2 RNA genome. However, diagnostic laboratories should rigorously validate these commercial kits before routine use, since the analytical sensitivity of some commercial RT-qPCR tests differs substantially, which could lead to a false negative results. This is very important. So, this depends the precision of the lab. The results demonstrated that the median duration between the onset of symptoms to nucleic acid conversion was 24 days, and that the longest duration was 42 days after the onset of symptoms. It was found that higher viral loads inversely proportional of the CT values, because all of us are very conscious, because we have to mention in the SRF that the CT value, and all the clinicians, physicians, they are very concerned about the CT value. So, that is your cycle threshold value. So, it is inversely proportional to the viral loads. So, if there are more viral loads, so CT value low, and the low viral loads, the CT value will be higher. Can be observed in upper respiratory samples soon after symptoms onset, and that the peak occurs within the first week of illness onset of COVID-19 confirmed patients. SARS-CoV-2 positive RT-qPCR detection has also been demonstrated even after the resolution of COVID-19 symptoms. For this reason, the CDC has recommended obtaining at least 2 negative upper respiratory tract samples collected in intervals of 24 hours or longer to document SARS-CoV-2 clearance. That is very important. So, coming to the interpretation of the results. So, one of the following condition should be met to consider a case as a laboratory confirmed by NAT in areas with no SARS-CoV-2 circulation. A positive NAT result for at least 2 different target genomes on the SARS-CoV-2 virus genome, of which at least one target is preferably specific for SARS-CoV-2 virus using a validated assay, or one positive NAT results for the presence of beta coronavirus and SARS-CoV-2 virus further identified by sequencing partial or whole genome of the virus, as long as the sequence target is larger or different from the amplicon probed in the NAT assay used. So, that means this is a little complicated, but most of the lab presently they are following on the upper one. One or more negative results do not rule out possibility of SARS-CoV-2 viral infection. Factors that could influence the negative results include poor quality of the specimen, containing little patient materials as a control, consider determining whether there is adequate human DNA in the sample by including a human target in the PCR testing, because there is an internal control always in the kit. So, if you have to see that whether it is amplified or not. So, when it is not amplified, so that the sample is inadequate or it is not proper sample has been collected from the human factor. The specimen was collected late or very early in the infection. The specimen was not handled and shipped appropriately. Non-maintenance of the cold chain, that is also very important. And next is your technical reasons inherent in the test. That is like a virus mutations or PCR inhibition. So, there are sometimes also you can find a PCR inhibitors are there, or there are some mutations happen, so that when probe cannot anneal to the site. That is why you may not get, though the patient is suffering from that, we cannot also detect. If a negative result is obtained from a patient with a high index of suspicion of SARS-CoV-2 virus infection, particularly when only upper respiratory tract specimens were collected, additional specimens including from the lower respiratory tract, if possible, should be collected and tested. That also we have found in our setups in molecular lab. We have seen that some patients which they have repeatedly, the RT-PCR has come negative from the upper respiratory sample like nasopharyngeal or oropharyngeal samples, and the ball, that is a sputum fluid, sputum we have collected from those ICU patients, and it has come positive. So, that this can be done even if suppose we do not have a right decisions of whether it is we should start the treatment or not antiviral. So, coming to the viral sequencing, that is we can find this viral sequencing is only found in the very higher centers where the Department of Virology, they are being equipped with the sequencing machines and your equipments. So, sequencing does not have a role in the initial laboratory diagnosis of SARS-CoV-2, but can be helpful in the following circumstances, like providing confirmation of the presence of the virus, or monitor for viral genome mutations that might affect the performance of medical countermeasures, including the diagnostic tests. Virus whole genome sequencing can also inform molecular epidemiology studies. Coming to CVNAT, that is the cartridge-based nucleic acid amplification test, and the TrueNAT, which are two machines actually it was meant for the POC, point of care. But unfortunately, since we are handling the viral samples, this is a viral sample, so for that we need a set of like at least or BSL-2 patterns. So, we cannot handle in a POC. So the centers which they have this like a facility, we can set up this equipments for the your detection of the virus. So cartridge-based nucleic acid amplification platforms like TrueNAT and Cepheid Expert Express SARS-CoV-2 that employ real-time RT-PCR technology are in use for COVID-19 testing in India. Already we have many centers, we have these facilities, TrueNAT, in the many district headquarter hospitals also we have it. Availability of BSL-2 level laboratory facility including a molecular biology setup for virological diagnosis and a functioning and a calibrated biosafety cabinet 2A or 2B in the laboratory is the minimum requirement to establish CVNet or a TrueNAT. This is now mandatory because this is very important because when you are handling the samples, it needs a BSL-2 lab. In CVNet, there is no requirement of RNA extraction process externally. Sample along with the reagents can be charged to the cartridge for RT-qPCR. So there is no need of like externally in first you have to like go for extraction of RNA. So just you add the reagents to the sample and a specific amount of volume you can inject to the cartridge and wait and watch. So after 1 hour you can see the RT-PCR, the results. In TrueNAT, of course, it is a semi-automatic. That is the one manual step is there. So you have to go for first elute extraction. Then we have to transfer to a chip for RT-qPCR. Coming to serological tests, serological methods are being increasingly used and can be used for diagnosis, contact tracing and herd immunity assessment and vaccine efficacy evaluations. Serology can also be useful in situations where RT-qPCR is negative and there is a strong epidemiological link to COVID-19 infection. In these cases, paired serum samples collected in the acute and convalescent phase can be of diagnostic value. Seroconversion for IgM and IgG occurred simultaneously or sequentially and the median day of seroconversion for the both immunoglobulins was 13 days after COVID-19 test onset. The seroconversion rate for IgG reached 100% 19 days after the symptom onset. So you can get it in the serum IgG after 19 days, it is 100% ensured. Variety of serological tests have been designed to detect SARS-CoV-2, mainly enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay, that is ELISA, immunofluorescent assay, IFA, and chemiluminescence enzyme immunoassays, CLIA, and lateral flow assay, LFA. Most serological assays are based on the SARS-CoV-2 nucleocapsid protein, transmembrane spike protein S, or S receptor binding domain RBD because of their high antigenicity. S antigens are more sensitive than those using N antigen based antibody assay. So we always go for a spike protein. So coming to the last, there is a viral culture. Viral culture is not recommended for the laboratory diagnosis of SARS-CoV-2, but viral culture can be used for research purpose like isolation of the virus, studying the properties of the virus and the development of the vaccine. Human airway epithelial cell lines were used for the initial isolation of the virus. So these are a couple of photographs we have taken from our lab where we were engaged. The Molecular Genomic and Research Laboratory, Department of Biochemistry, SCV Medical College. You can see that is we have the BSL-2 plus lab. This is the RNA extraction team. They are engaged in doing the manually extraction. This is the RT-PCR machines, the BioRad machine. We have the Covus 4800 machines. This is the photographs and the RT-PCR on also here we can observe. Thank you.